Hello, this is Catholic Dad with episode number 15. And I want to talk today about why is everybody so triggered? Triggered meaning, why is everybody upset? I think I figured this out, and I don't think I've seen an analysis quite like the one I've come up with. So this is kind of interesting. And so, why is everybody triggered? I think this is a multivariant analysis, and let's start with the presupposition that in my lifetime, I'm 43 years old, I think our world has gone from a more nationalistic world to a more globalistic world, right? We're kind of becoming that new world order. And if you ask me, that's kind of a liberal bend. We're heading toward liberality on our planet. And throughout my entire life, we've gone that way. And I don't even care if you say Reagan or not Reagan or the Bushes. They're all the same to me. The Obamas, Bushes, Clintons, they're all New World Order zealots. And we've been trending very much in a liberal direction until 2 years ago, right? And now suddenly we're becoming more nationalistic. And I'm not qualifying that in any way. I'm just stating that's the way it is. And we're now heading more in a rightward direction. Now, and I'm not qualifying that. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. Now, so here we go. Why does this make people so angry? There's a political psychologist out there. I've listened to some of his podcasts, his TED Talks. He's really quite a phenomenal thinker. His name's Jonathan Haidt, H-A-I-D-T, H-A-I-D-T. I would encourage you to look him up and read about him and maybe subscribe to some of his podcasts. But he's, and I may misrepresent him, so look into it if you would. He is he's a political psychologist out of NYU, and he grew up in the East Coast Jewish tradition, and this is his words, not mine, kind of quite liberal, right? And he was always wondering why one half of the nation is kind of so stupid, right? Dumb, that they're conservative and they don't understand his politics. And so he wanted to get to the deep moral psychology of being conservative versus liberal. And I may get this wrong, but this is pretty much how the story goes. He developed a test, a political test for people, that you go and you take this political test online and you identify yourself as your political alignment, whether you're conservative, liberal, or moderate. And you take the test and you take it as yourself. And then you go and take the test and you retake it as if you're somebody else. And you pretend to take the test. Like if you're liberal, you pretend to take it as a conservative. If you're conservative, you pretend to take it like you're liberal. And what he found was this, that moderates are the best at pretending to be liberal and conservative, which kind of makes sense, right? They're crowding the middle so they can kind of understand both arguments. A close number two was conservatives are actually quite good at pretending to be liberal. And a distant, very far distant number three was that liberals actually cannot fake being conservative. They're actually quite bad at it. And in fact, what he found was that not only are they bad at it, when they look at the answers of the political challenge, they don't only go for they go for the answer that's the least charitable and most abhorring to them. And that's what their view of conservatism is. Like, for example, the question is, what do you do if you see a puppy dog walking down the street? Do you, A, pet it, B, give it some food, or C, enroll it in dog fighting? The liberal would say, oh, the conservative enrolled in dog fighting, and so if you think about it, the liberal side of things, I'm stating we're going liberal to conservative, right? The liberal side of things, they don't understand the conservative arguments if they can't even fake the conservative test. And if they can't fake it, and it brings them to, they always pick the least charitable, most horrible answer, they actually do think that conservatives are disgusting. Now, that's variable number one. That's in terms of this multivariable analysis. The second part of the variable is this. Our president today is a New Yorker, and he speaks in hyperbole. I've talked about this in a prior video, but hyperbole is an obvious exaggeration, not to be taken literally, but meant to prove a point. That's what hyperbole is. And most people that I associate with in my lifetime, I don't think they are hyperbolic thinkers, and in fact, I don't think they understand hyperbole. I think most people are concrete thinkers, and they kind of just want a straight answer literally all the time. Those of us who happen to be hyperbolic thinkers, metaphoric thinkers, abstract thinkers, it's actually quite reassuring to us whenever we hear somebody speaking in hyperbole. And the reason why is this, is because Hyperbolic thinkers exaggerate their viewpoints, which means you always know what they're thinking, right? They're always telling you their position on things, and they tend not to lie. People that think abstractly and they hear a hyperbolic speaker, they think they're actually lying and not just trying to exaggerate to prove a point. Well, anyway, so this combination that A, liberals tend not to understand the conservative argument, and B, that the rightward leaning president now speaks in hyperbole, and lots of it, mind you. That variable is A, they think the movement's disgusting to begin with, and B, it's exaggerated in hyperbolic speech, which makes people even more triggered and angry about the trend of this nation. Now, how do you fake a conservative or liberal argument? I mean, I can fake it, right? So here you go. I'm going to pretend to be a liberal right now. Well, actually, if I were a liberal, I would pretend to be conservative and state, we live in a hierarchical society, and that hierarchy creates different levels of success within people, and some people are dispossessed. And the conservative line of thinking would be this: that we have the conservative line of thinking would be that we create this hierarchy, and this hierarchy creates people that actually create wealth. And when you create this wealth, and when you have a rising tide, you raise all boats. And beyond that, it benefits even the poorest the most, actually, and it raises all the poor people, and that's how you create a large middle class, and therefore small conservative governments are better. But what about the liberal side of things? That we have this is the liberal argument, and I can fake it, I think, reasonably well, is that we live in a hierarchical society, and that when a hierarchy creates dispossessed people, which it does, and we all know it does, and these dispossessed people need help through systems like welfare systems, food stamps, generalized health care, and so on and so forth, and therefore that's why we need a large centralized system with lots of government and taxation. So there you have it, everybody. There's the argument for being liberal and conservative, but I think the reason why everybody's so triggered these days is because, in the words of by the moral psychologist Jonathan Haidt, that the liberal side of the movement doesn't necessarily understand the conservative side of the movement, and they always pick the most horrific meaning to what the conservatives are saying. And the current administration in the White House speaks in hyperbole, which if they don't understand the conservative movement and he speaks in exaggerated speech, that's going to double the effect. So this is Catholic Dad, just signing off, just weighing in. This is my own analysis. Take it or leave it, whatever you want, but please be reasonable if you respond. So please get to Mass, pray the Rosary daily, try to get to confession, and thank you and God bless.